Something sits underneath all of it like stone. You have added better habits, cleaner systems, more goals, and still it does not move. Kenji understood this from the inside. He lived in a small apartment on the edge of a city. The shelves along one wall held books he had not opened in years. In the corner sat a wooden box of his father's tools: hammers, chisels, measuring things. His father had been a man who repaired whatever broke, who could fix anything with his hands. Kenji had kept the tools after his father died. He told himself he would learn to use them someday. The drawers were full. The floor had paths through it. And Kenji moved through each day with the quiet feeling that something was blocking him, though he could not name what. One afternoon, his neighbor, a man who had lived simply for as long as anyone could remember, watched Kenji carry another box into the apartment. The neighbor said nothing for a moment. Then, "Did you clear the story?" Kenji did not understand the question. He set the box down and went inside. That night he could not sleep. He lay in the dark, looking at the shelves. At some point he got up, crossed the room, and opened the wooden box. He took out one of the chisels. He held it. He set it back down. He did not know what he was supposed to do with it. He had never known. He closed the box. The room was not a home. It was a waiting room. The following weekend, Kenji began to clear. He worked quickly at first. The clearing felt good, clean, and deliberate, like cutting something that had needed cutting for a long time. He filled bags. He carried boxes to the door. He emptied the shelves. He carried the wooden box out last. By the end of the second day, the room was bare. He sat down in the center of it. He waited to feel free. He did not. The room was empty. But Kenji did not feel empty in the right way. He felt exposed. Something that had surrounded him, even if it had weighed on him, was gone. And without it, he felt less like himself. Not lighter, just less. He had done something wrong. He could not find where. The Japanese call this practice danshari. The word holds three actions. Dan, to refuse what enters. Sha, to dispose of what remains. And then ri. Ri is the one that most people miss. It means to separate. Not from the object, but from the attachment beneath it. And unlike the first two steps, you cannot do it with your hands. Ri asks the harder question. Who did I believe I would be when I used this? What version of myself was I keeping this for? And am I still waiting for that person to arrive? Kenji had thrown away his father's tools, but he had not let go of the grief that had made him keep them. He had cleared the shelf of unread books, but he had not released the belief that the person who would read them was still coming. The objects were gone. The attachment remained. Ri is the step that cannot be rushed. It is not about what you own. It is about who you have been waiting to become. Kenji returned to his neighbor. He said he had cleared everything. He said he thought he would feel different. The neighbor nodded slowly. "Did you clear the story?" he asked again. The question landed differently now. Kenji sat with it for weeks. He found he could look at the empty shelves without flinching. He stopped buying things he intended to become. He wrote a letter to his father that he never sent, and in writing it, set something down that had no physical form. The room did not fill again, not because he was disciplined, because he had let go of the person he was holding space for. Danshari is not a single clearing. It is a way of meeting what you have accumulated, not to judge it, but to ask whether the relationship is still real. Most of what weighs on you is not the object. It is the version of yourself still attached to it. 1. Choose one drawer or one shelf. Pick up each object and ask not, "Do I need this?" but, "Who did I think I would be when I used this?" Hold it long enough to hear the honest answer. 2. Set aside anything kept for a future self you are no longer certain is coming. Place those items somewhere visible, not hidden, not thrown away yet. Just let the distance become real. 3. Practice Ri. Write one sentence. I am letting go of the version of myself who was going to. Finish it. The act of writing is the release, not the throwing away. Drop one thing in the comments, not an object, but a version of yourself you have been holding space for. You might be surprised what arrives when you finally let it go. Thank you for being here. Somewhere, a wooden box sits by a door, not full, not empty, finally set down.